This is what I watched so far in 2024. January, Aliens. Terminator 2 to Terminator. James Cameron does his magic, makes a Hollywood blockbuster. Entertaining, suspenseful, what more can you ask for? 8 out of 10. Adventure Time. I think of Jake as my spirit animal. I'm a lazy piece of shit. And seasons 5 to 6 are peak. Watch Marceline's Closet and Dungeon Train for episodes that I really love. 10 out of 10. February, Treasure Planet. I was feeling a bit nostalgic. I definitely think it's an underrated Disney movie. I'm sad it got box office bombed. 6.5 out of 10. March. Poor Things. Weird ass fucking movie, one of a kind aesthetic. I think it's basically Frankenstein, but Emma Stone and a lot of sex. And William Dafoe is there. Mark Ruffalo is also really hilarious. Question mark out of 10? Dune Part 2. I read the book before watching this movie, and I was really worried that they were not going to be able to adapt it because there was a lot of exposition. And I'm glad to say that Denis Villeneuve made this movie possible. I think he really smoothed it over. Also, it's basically just Lion King meets Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, and if you like Dune, I think you should watch his other movies, Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival, both modern sci-fi classics. And if you haven't watched Dune Part 2, then shame on you. 9 out of 10. Shaun of the Dead. It's my first time watching Edgar Wright. I definitely think it was a unique tone and feels remarkably fresh for a zombie film. Who knew apocalypses could be so funny? And that sequence with the TV? Oh, chef's kiss. 8 out of 10. April. I watched Edge of Tomorrow. It's pretty much just ReZero, or like in a video game you respawn, but it's Tom Cruise fighting aliens. Very entertaining, very easy watch. I think the ending was a bit mid, but the beginning and middle were really solid. 7 out of 10. Dune Part 2 again. I rewatched it in IMAX, and that opening sequence really hooked me back straight in. My Best Fiend. It's a documentary about Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog. This actor, Klaus Kinski, was batshit insane, and I love him all the more for it. In one of the stories, one of the crew members was trying to eat a banana, and then he got really upset and swung a sword at him. And if it wasn't for his metal helmet, he would have died. And he still has a scar on his head to prove it. And then later that week, he was angry at the crew, so he decided to shoot a loaded gun into their sleeping tent. And he shot that same poor bastard's finger off. So yeah, that guy was crazy. He also was insane throughout his filming at the Amazon, so they hired a native tribe, and this tribe basically offered to kill him to the director. They're like, oh, how can you allow this guy to be angry and crazy all the time? And Werner Herzog was like, I need this guy to finish the movie, you can't kill him. And then there's an entire part where he goes on tour and he pretends to be Jesus, and he's doing his retelling of the New Testament. Pretty much he just booed off of stage and he just rages in front of a bunch of people. Yeah, I don't know. You can't make up this shit. Very entertaining. 7 out of 10. Shrek Forever After. The true ending to the Shrek trilogy, there was never a third film. 7 out of 10. The Incredibles. On rewatch, it's definitely a Pixar masterpiece. So many things I didn't catch as a child. Now that I'm an adult, the relationship between Helen and Bob, he's basically without a job for 6 months. Yeah, and at its core, it's a family drama that happens to be about superheroes. And also the monotony of working in an office or corporate environment. It hits. 9 out of 10. May. Batman Begins. What else can I say? It's a Batman movie. I love Christian Bale. You can see why he's Batman after watching American Psycho. Funny story, but when he goes onto the set, he was supposed to bulk up to get big for the role. And then the crew was like, fucking hell, Chris, are you Batman or Fat Man? Solid movie, 7 out of 10. Hot Fuzz. So continuing with the Edgar Wright, I think I definitely prefer this to Shaun of the Dead. The chemistry between Simon Pegg and the other actor, peak. I think the build up to the ending was amazing. It was a slow build, slow burn, but that ending is cathartic as heck. Loved it. 8.5 out of 10. Then I finished the month with The Dark Knight, masterpiece, top 3 Nolan film. I think it's definitely more of a Joker movie than a Batman movie, but yeah, there's nothing much more to say. 9 out of 10. Alright, June, Furiosa. Disappointed that it was a box office bomb. and I do think it's a very distinct movie from Mad Max Fury Road. I just wish it had a couple more of the practical gritty effects from the first film, and Chris Hemsworth is definitely a highlight. There's an entire sequence where he's chained to a hostage by his nipples, and when the hostage gets taken away, his nipples are ripped off. Yeah, he's like a wacky Looney Tunes villain. Gotta give it a watch. Give props where it's due. 7.5 out of 10. Then I watched God of Gamblers. It's a Cantonese classic. Basically, an anime IRL protagonist whose OP ability is in gambling games, and he gets amnesia. So some bums have to take care of him, and then they realize it's magic. So then they try to get him to they try to get a lot of money out of gambling. Yeah, it's just a very fun movie, and you just want to watch it for the gambling sequences. 7.5 out of 10. Mad Max Fury Road, masterpiece. Pair it with Furiosa, it's like Oreos and milk. Office Space. I watched it because I just started working. You might know it from this meme. That will be great. But it's really a simple comedy, and the director went on to make King of the Hill. So if you're a corporate slave, give it a watch. 7 out of 10. Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. So this is a trippy ass movie with the Philip Glass soundtrack. He also did the soundtrack for Koreani's Kaski. Highly recommend that. Very synthy, heavy synths. Yeah, it's a biographic movie that follows the acclaimed author Yukio Mishima's life. Yeah, and it goes novel by novel through his stages of his life. I think what hit for me was the part about when he became a bodybuilder. He really emphasized mind and body. You can't really have a strong mind without a strong body. Something that ancient Greeks would definitely support. He also really believed in traditional samurai values, and he was worried that the inclusion of democracy in Japan would weaken their characters. And I don't know, you've been seeing some crazy shit coming out of Japan now, so maybe he's not wrong. Yeah, so at the end he ends up committing seppuku, or ritual suicide, because he was trying to basically inspire Japan to go back to its old way, but no one really listened to him. And also the actor for Mishima kept changing, so I got kind of confused on who Mishima was, who's supposed to be playing him during the movie. But other than that, it's a very entertaining movie. 7 out of 10. And then I finished it with classic Casablanca. Wow, this movie is the origin for a lot of cliches. I can see its fingerprints across so many movies. Indiana Jones, La La Land, tons of World War II movies. I mean, Porco Rosso, Glorious Bastards, Oppenheimer, Doctor Strangelove, Captain America. Yeah, it's a good metaphor for America's involvement in World War II. And at the time, actually, when they were making this, it was in the middle of the war. So they didn't know if the Allies or the Axis were gonna win. So, yeah. And yeah, famous lines such as, "Here's looking at you, kid." One line that got me was "This is the start of a beautiful friendship." It's every time I watch a movie at Regal Cinema, they always have the trailer for getting ready to dim the lights and quiet up. But they literally quote this movie, and I was like, oh shit, that's where it's from. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I really recommend it. It's a very fun movie for a movie that's 70 years old, from 1942, and I could see why it's a classic. 80 years old. It's very fast, it's very quick, and it's very heartfelt. So I think everyone should give Casablanca a watch if you've never seen it before. Peace.